Just in case you were wondering, there are 4 lights. Romulan Ale makes a lot of appearances in the course of the history of Star Trek. And in truth, there's a number of unique spirits and cocktails throughout Star Trek, so I had a couple of options here when looking to do Star Trek drink, but I figured we got to start with the granddaddy of them all, Romulan Ale. However, we could have done the cocktail Samarian Sunset from Next Generation. We could have done Aldebaran Whiskey.
It is green.
We could have done Klingon Blood Wine. Why don't you let me know in the comments where you want me to go with more Star Trek content later, and we'll revisit Star Trek and do Star Trek 2, The Wrath of Greg. Wrath of Greg? I'm not wrathful. I am the mirth of Greg. Star Trek 2, The Mirth of Greg. But this is Star Trek 1, The Gregshian Picture.
Well, now, what do you think of that?
Romulan Ale. Here's what we know about it. It's blue, okay? We know that it is kind of coveted by Federation officers. And there's some question as to why. Is it just because it's contraband? Or is it because it tastes good? I actually think it's more because it's just contraband. I think Romulan Ale is largely, specifically if you think about the environment in which Star Trek, the original series, aired, is meant to be a stand-in for Cuban cigars and rum. It's a commentary on the Cuban trade embargo between Cuba and the US. I should say the American trade embargo between Cuba and the US, because I don't think Cuba was too happy about shutting down trade at all.
Romulan Ale? Why, Bones, you know this is illegal.
I only use it for medicinal purposes.
In the original series, of course, it is coveted and produces a legendary hangover.
Romulan Ale should be illegal.
It is.
We see it in Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, when Bones gifts a bottle to Captain Kirk.
Cheers.
We see this amazing look on his face. It's just like, it washes over him. I gotta say, people make jokes at William Shatner's expense as being a bad actor. I don't think he's a bad actor. I think he's a great actor. I think that Kirk is just a big character, okay? We know that the stage direction in the script said it is an instant drunk, so that you drink it and are instantly inebriated. The best description we get of Romulan Ale comes from Senator Vreenak in his detente with Commander Sisko.
Fair approximation, but somewhat lacking in aroma. Real cauliflower should forcibly open one's sinuses well before the first sip.
That is really the best description of the taste of Romulan Ale that we get. And from that, I kind of gather that it's a bit of a bravado shot in the original series, that the Federation guys are all kind of coveting this stuff that is outlawed, but that Romulans probably don't drink that often. They probably drink it at like weddings and bachelor parties or something like that. And I don't know, do they have bachelor parties on Romulan? Romulus? I don't know the name of the homeworld of the Romulans. I guess it's Rome. And I think it's a bit of a bravado shot in the original series, which means that it is something that's like, sets your cackles on fire and curls your toes. And there's a very, 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 very easy way for me to simulate that I am not going to do in this episode, and that would be to take some Kiaoling wine and steep it in butterfly pea blossoms and call it a day, because that is, I mean, that opening your sinuses and just like violently assailing your apparatus, that's all right there. If you want to water it down and mix it up, that's fine. We've done 16 bag, we've done Victory Gin, and I kind of think that like if every time I need to do something like that with a drink, we go back to Kiaoling wine, it's like overplayed. So I'm just gonna say, if you want to make that as accurate to what Vreenak is describing in Deep Space Nine, get yourself some butterfly pea blossoms in the link below, soak them in Kiaoling wine, and knock yourself out. We're gonna make something that's a bit more drinkable. And we're gonna do it 2 ways. We're gonna do it once alcoholic and once non-alcoholic for the ensigns in your away team. We're gonna shake this drink. I'm gonna take my small tin. I want 1 ounce of simple syrup. I think it's Mahalo Has a YouTube video out there. I'm gonna include a link to it because it's fucking great, about how to make real Romulan ale. It has got to be the most condescending cocktail video I have ever seen in my life.
This is one for all you Trekkie fans out there. And you're probably home dateless, so the least you can do is get a little bit drunk.
All right, you basement-dwelling losers. Here's your f***ing sci-fi juice for you to swill while you watch porn from your mom's cellar. I need 1 ounce of lime juice. 1 ounce of lime juice. Let's get this lime juice into my tin. I always wanted to, man, Guinan, she was cool. She was like a bartender in outer space. That space bar. She'd get pretty much any ingredient she wanted by asking a replicator to make it for her. That's pretty cool. That's gotta be rough, you know? Just like in a dimension of immortality and infinite pleasure, and then now, like, I'm a bartender on a spaceship. We want 1 ounce of blue curacao. So I don't often use blue curacao. As a matter of fact, I often kind of get to blueness from another direction. But in this case, there's really no reason to. The curacao is what we want. Orange liqueur is perfect here. And this gets us our blue. And I want 2 ounces of plantation 3-star rum. Cool, perfect, done. We're gonna shake that up. Shake it up. I've got 1 biggie cube. We're gonna crack the second cube in here. I'm giving it all chicken tight, Captain! You think that like Scotty had like a little still he was running off the back of those dilithium crystals down there, making himself some radioactive scotch in outer space? I'm gonna double strain this to make sure I don't accidentally wind up with some ice pieces in there. That's like a weird thing too. They had these dilithium crystals. They're still like, it's a total fantasy thing. Produces enough radiation to kill Spock almost instantly. Why even have why not just make it a frickin' uranium reactor? Like, why have dilithium crystals if it's gonna be radioactive anyway? There is our absolutely perfect looking glass of bright blue Romulan ale. The undiscovered country. Oh my God. It's great, it just went down sideways. I'm sitting here so that this pops off the background because my globe is also blue. I suppose I could turn it to more, no, the Earth is 70 or 80% water, it's all blue. For now, we're working on that. So here we go with my Romulan ale. That is excellent. That's very, very easy to drink. It's a little sweeter than I would like. I think you could scale back the simple syrup on this one. I think the curacao does the job for you, but in the interest of presenting something that's super duper accessible for people to enjoy and share at the, for instance, viewing party for when Picard comes out on CBS All Access, here is the super duper easy to drink version. Careful, that one will sneak up on you because there's plenty of rum in there. It is sweet and orangey and just kind of like a delicious orange creamsicle almost. There's not much vanilla to speak of. It's kind of like a more orange daiquiri. I would caution you not to rebalance this in favor of the lime away from the blue curacao because that would yield a different color, and this is the color you really want, right? You want this kind of totally Star Trek sci-fi blue. This is ridiculously blue. I would say that you could scale back the simple a little bit, and that would certainly make it a little bit less sweet. But it's fine the way it is, certainly. I think that this is a eminently drinkable drink for you to quote Shakespeare over a very fraught dinner with. But what if you are just a wee ensign? Oh my God, that's one of the best. Every time I watch, and I do, when I say every time, I watch Wrath of Khan on a somewhat regular basis, I am always caught by surprise after Khan's first interaction with the Enterprise. Fire! He busts it up, man. He wrecks it. He blows apart a whole bunch of stuff. Everybody's on the bridge trying to recover, and all of a sudden the turbo lift opens.
Meantime, let's find out how badly we've been hurt.
It's like, I mean, it's not funny, but what the f is going on, man? Was he drunk on the job? Like, first off, he's in charge of engineering. He just walked away. There's like a serious emergency going on at the warp core. He left. He just picked up a dead guy, walked. I mean, it's a big spaceship, right? He walked all the way to the bridge, up the lift. Like, there's a long time for him to stop and realize, like, oh wait, I have a job to do. And he just like opens the door and he's like, ah! First off, we're all working up here, man. What are you doing? Sick bay is there. What are you coming to my office with this corpse for? Two, do we not have like a radiation leak or something going on down there? Like, is there not something else that it needs your attention? We have doctors. We have a famous doctor on this spaceship. Let him handle this. Three, like, we have other problems. You come up here with shit's blowing up all over the place, things are on fire, and you come up here with this. Oh my God. Now you show up with that. Jesus Christ. But let's say you were a young ensign and you weren't just blown up in a broadside by a genetic super soldier, and you wanted to serve something non-alcoholic. Well, we have the cure for you. We've got Romulan ginger ale. Pretty simple drink. You're gonna need to make some of my ginger syrup, and you will need to create butterfly pea blossom tea. So I've used butterfly pea blossoms a number of times on the show, and what I've got in this perfectly Romulan looking decanter is nothing more than butterfly pea blossom tea. And frankly, a bit darker than you need it to be, so I may have used too many flowers in making this, but that's great. It'll work fine for what we want to do with it. We're gonna start with a ½ an ounce of lime juice. ½ an ounce of lime juice into the tin. 1 ounce of my ginger syrup. There's a link in the comments below for how to make ginger syrup. If you do, check out that video, and I hope you do. You'll notice that it was shot by the side of a pool while I was wearing a Hawaiian shirt on an iPhone. It's a bit different than the rest of the show. I mean, don't hold it against me. Nobody's perfect. We had to do what we had to do. And now I want 2 ounces of this butterfly pea blossom tea. This stuff is really blue, which is the important thing. You can see how blue that is. We're gonna shake that sucker over ice. 1 cube. Double strain this into our fizz glass over nothing. And top that up with seltzer. Now let's see how my Romulan ginger ale came out. Gingery. Nice. Nice bite, very bitey, flighty. It's got some heat on it, some ginger, and I think we knocked it out of the park, guys. Okay, so the color's a little bit off between the two. It's tricky because the butterfly pea blossoms are pH reactive. It's a natural pH indicator, whereas the blue curacao is not. So here, it's a little hard to keep it perfectly blue. Certainly, you could skip the butterfly pea blossom tea and just go for some blue food dye in some ginger syrup, and then that will be totally inert and you won't have to deal with that at all. But if you want to go truly natural and use a brewed ingredient, a tea, the link is below in the comments, and your mileage may vary. You might have to tweak the recipe if, for whatever reason, yours comes out a different color than mine. But on the whole, I think we did not too bad for a non-alcoholic Romulan ginger ale and a Romulan ale. Who's my captain? Whose starship would I want to serve under? I think the obvious answer is Captain Picard. First off, best captain. Definitely very good at keeping you alive by comparison to Kirk. 2, starship. Super nice. Like faster. Like way better like R&R services with the holodeck and 10 forward. bring your family. You know, I think there was like a child care program on board. There was a daycare, if I recall. Better medical technology. Like, no, I mean, Picard, hands down, hands down. You would be crazy to pick Kirk. Nuts. But Picard's coming back. I saw he plays the flute in the trailer. Did you guys catch that? That's the show. This is How to Drink, the show about making cocktails and how to drink them, and we drank them today. We made Romulan Ale, kind of a version of a daiquiri, honestly. And I think the presentation is right on the mark. And if you needed a non-alcoholic version, I think Romulan Ginger Ale is a fantastic way to go. Couple different ways to skin that cat. Don't feel like I am being prescriptive, but I wanted to make sure you guys knew how to do it. You could do it. Romulan Ginger Ale, it's right there. I'm on Twitter at How to Drink. I'm on Instagram at How to Drink. I'm on Patreon at patreon.com/howtodrink. All of my barware is provided by Barfly. And you should totally check them out in the link below. So please do check that out. That would be great. What about not the Kardashians, not the Kardashians, the Cardassians. Well, both of them wear a lot of makeup, don't they? Isn't that funny? But the Cardassians never had the audacity to try to sell it to you.